Hey, what's up everybody? In this video, I'm going to review Riddle Roseheart from the Twisted Wonderland series. Riddle Roseheart came out in February 2024 and has a drop rate of 30% at the moment during Lucky Time. He is one of the better ones out of the three, but he is a little bit more difficult to use compared to the other ones. So let's get into it and take a look at the description. For a short time, only two types of Tsums will appear, and they're not necessarily going to be Tsums, they're actually going to be roses. They're either going to be a red rose or a white rose, and they're a little bit different. They're not going to function the same, but I'll get into that a little bit later. Currently, this game demonstration that you're watching is a skill level 1 game demonstration, and when I first started using Riddle Roseheart, I was really excited at skill level 1 and skill level 2, and then it started to taper off and got a little bit more disappointing as I progressed. So let's take a look at the stats first. In order to activate Riddle Roseheart's ability, you're going to need to clear a total of 15 copies of him off the screen, which isn't too bad. The minimum score is 50 with a maximum score of 1,275, which is on the higher end for maximum score and pretty decent for minimum score as well. So it is a pretty good Tsum for score if you need a good score earner. But if you want to get Riddle Roseheart to skill level 6, you're going to need a total of 36 copies of him from the premium box or using skill tickets. Whenever you level up Riddle Roseheart, two components changes, one being how long the ability time is going to last, and then secondly is the score multiplier. Every single time you level him up, the score multiplier is going to increase by 0.2, and then when it comes to the time, it's going to increase by 0.6. So that's pretty significant. Every single time you level him up, two things does change. Usually they offset, where you get either a little bit more time or a little bit more of a score multiplier. But in this case, every single time you level him up, both things does change, which is a benefit of using Riddle Roseheart. But before I go any further, if you guys are enjoying this type of content where I review Tsums, do monthly leaks, go over the pickup capsules and selection boxes, please consider subscribing to this channel. Your subscription really helps me out a lot. I also have a Discord server where other Tsum Tsum players are gathering, where they're chatting about the game, asking for help and asking for hints, and there's a lot of people who's willing to help. So if you need hearts or need help with the game, consider scanning this QR code and join the Discord server. If you're unable to scan the QR code, I will also have links in the description below as well. Okay, so let's take a look at a side-by-side comparison of all of the skill levels. And let's start off with skill level 1, 2, and 3. So again, the major difference here is that there is going to be an increase of time and also a bonus multiplier when you're using Riddle Roseheart. Now, one thing I do want to cover is Riddle Roseheart is not necessarily the easiest Tsum to use, but if you are able to perfect using Riddle Roseheart, it can be a very effective Tsum to use when it comes to coins, especially at the lower skill levels. So let me share with you my strategy when I'm using Riddle Roseheart. So a couple of things that you need to know when you're using Riddle Roseheart is, first of all, how to make a time bubble. Time bubbles will appear whenever you make a chain of anywhere between 9 to 16, but the sweet spot is really between 9 to 12. So keep that number in your head that you want to make a chain of 9 to 12 as I show you what's going to happen next. During ability time, there will be two types of roses that will appear. There's going to be the red ones and the white ones. And if you have Riddle Roseheart, you'll notice that whenever you clear the red ones, it's going to burst surrounding Tsums as well. Whereas for the white ones, they don't burst surrounding Tsums, but instead just make a really long chain. So your objective should be always to try to make chains with the red roses versus the white ones. But there are going to be situations where you clear a bunch of the red ones and there's only white ones left. And in those moments, what you should do is try to clear or make a really long chain with the white roses and then burst a magic bubble right afterwards. And because the red roses does burst surrounding Tsums, my recommendation is try to make a chain of 3 red roses to 4 red roses. What I've noticed is that usually when you clear anywhere between 3 to 4 red roses, because it's going to burst surrounding Tsums, your chain range is going to be between 9 to 16, which is that range of making a time bubble. Now, there are going to be some times where you make 19 or 20, and that's okay, but generally speaking, aiming for 3 to 4 is ideal during ability time to make that time bubble. Now, to better illustrate this, let me do a side-by-side comparison of the abilities activated at the same time. Now, you'll see here as well, skill level 1 ends before skill level 3 because there's going to be a little bit less time at skill level 1 compared to skill level 3. Now, the first thing I want to show you guys here is that the spawn areas of the red roses are always going to be in the same positions. And it's going to be right here in the top center, bottom left, and bottom right. So you can expect that the red roses will always be there. So whenever you start your ability, you can start planning to make chains there. And if you take a look at skill level 3, I tried my best to make chains of 3s to 4s, but as you can see, it's not always perfect. So you're not always going to get time bubbles, but if you're able to perfect that and focus on making chains of 3s and 4s, you'll be able to make a lot of time bubbles. It kind of reminds me of using Cinderella, because the strategy of using Cinderella is exactly that, is making a lot of time bubbles. And then after the ability is over, if you play the game perfectly, generally after your ability time, you're gonna be out of fever time, and you want to use those bubbles that you just created to get back into fever time or activate the ability. Both ways are very effective ways of getting back into fever time to get you a couple more seconds in the game. So that was skill level 1, 2, and 3. So let's take a look at the higher skill level as skill level 4, 5, and 6. So skill level 4, 5, and 6, you're going to get a lot more time during ability time compared to the lower skill levels. And there's also going to be a higher score multiplier. And also for these higher skill levels, I tried a different strategy. So instead of making chains of 3s and 4s during ability time, I try to make long chains as fast as possible. One of the downside to making chains of 3s and 4s at the higher skill levels is that you're going to get a lot of bubbles that will get in the way. So at these higher levels, you definitely want to burst away the bubbles right after ability time, because they do tend to get in the way, and then whenever you burst them, you don't get as many chains as you would normally if they were sitting at a higher position. So my recommendation, especially for these higher levels, is to get rid of the bubbles as soon as you can, but not during ability time. During ability time, you should definitely focus on making long chains and finding all the red roses and making those connections. And by the way, I do have full gameplays for all 6 of these videos that don't cut away. So if you want to see the entire gameplay without interruptions, I will link that video in the description below and also in the top right hand corner here. So if you want to see the full gameplays without interruptions, you can find it there. So let's take a look at the abilities activated at the same time. And by looking at this in full speed, you'll be able to see that skill level 6 ends significantly later than skill level 4. So you do get a little bit more time to use the abilities. And here it is again in slow motion. And you'll notice that the positions of the roses are going to be at the exact same spot. So ideally, you want to make sure that the screen is full of zooms before activating the ability. As you can see at skill level 5, I didn't do that. And you notice that some of the red roses are missing there. So to effectively activate the ability, just give it a couple of seconds to make sure those zooms are settled there so you get all of the red roses. At skill level 6, I was trying to see if it's better to make long chains or chains of 3s and 4s and see which one's better. And from what I found is you might actually want to do a combination of both. So if you're able to make a really long chain or one that could go diagonally across the screen, you should always strive for that. But if the roses aren't there and you could only make chains of like maybe 3 to 5, then you want to opt for 3 instead of 5. So that way you increase your chance of getting that time bubble. So either make a chain of 3 to 4 or make a really long chain and nothing in between, because you're going to end up with star bubbles and score bubbles and coin bubbles, which is okay too. But if you're going for a high coin count, then you definitely want to go for longest chain or chains of 3s and 4s. So overall, I do really like Riddle Roseheart. I think that out of all 3 of the new Tsums that came out this month so far, Riddle Roseheart is definitely the most challenging character to play and it's the most exciting one. However, it is a little bit disappointing at how much more coins you earn every single time you level up Riddle Roseheart. I was expecting Riddle Roseheart to get a lot more coins at the higher skill level, but that was not the case. So let me show you the results for all 6 of these gameplays. Starting off at skill level 1, I was really excited because at skill level 1, I was able to get 2,244 coins, which is amazing for a skill level 1 Tsum. And at skill level 2, I got a total of 3,664. So I thought that the progression was going to continue to something really amazing at skill level 6. But as you can see there, that was not the case once I got to skill level 6. I only ended up with 4,587 coins, which is not that much more compared to skill level 4 and skill level 5. And you can see there at skill level 2 and 3, there was a coin flip where I got more coins at skill level 2 than skill level 3. So likely at skill level 2, I probably played a really good game versus skill level 3, I didn't. So your experience may vary, and you definitely want to use the 5-4 and coin boost when you're using Riddle Roseheart because you're going to be able to get a lot more coins and hopefully you get a coin fairy as well. So overall, Riddle Roseheart is one Tsum that I would recommend to get, but probably to only skill level 2. I don't think that the coins and skill level tickets are really worth it to get Riddle Roseheart to skill level 6, unfortunately. So that's my review of Riddle Roseheart. I hope that you guys found this video helpful or at least entertaining. And if you would like to see more Tsum Tsum content just like this, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, thank you so much for watching.